This is Robert Harper with Virginia Farm Bureau's Grain Division. Glad to bring you the Merchandiser Minute today. It's Friday. It is April the 16th. And we've had a lot of action this week in the futures trade. That really goes without saying. A lot of activity and a lot of action around the countryside. Y'all have had a big week getting over a lot of acres. And we want to say in reference to the futures this week, it really looks like the bull is still in control. We've got a lot of optimism, not only on the production side, you the farmer, but we've got a lot of optimism on the speculator side that prices are going to continue to go high. And it feels that way in every regard today, looking at the influences that we have. We're in the 8th month of a rally, and we've seen prices go even higher this week. Let's take a look at that. We saw the nearby corn contract, May corn, cross over $6. We saw December corn and November soybeans make new highs for the move, and it's just really encouraging for you all to see these kinds of prices, you all the producer, as you're in the field. May corn closed up 8 cents for the week at $5.85. May soybeans, the old crop contract, closed up 30 cents a bushel for the week to close at $14.33. In July wheat, your new crop contract, up 15 cents a bushel for the week to close at $6.55. So just an amazing week again on the grain and the oilseed side of things, and some really interesting news to think about. You know, we talk often about, does beans lead meal and oil, or do soy oil and soybean meal lead beans? Those conversations are always ongoing, but it would seem like in many communities and circles this week, they were back on the forefront. There's been a lot more talk over the last year about renewable diesel, biodiesel, and there have been some announcements lately about some new plants that are going to be built. We've also seen the USDA say going forward, I think I'm right in saying this, even starting as early as the May crop production report, they're going to be differentiating some uses of soy oil to try to show us how much of that vegetable oil is going to fuel and not to human food consumption. So just keep your eye on that going forward. And really just amazing week in price action. And if we flip the coin a little bit in the livestock sector, lean hogs, feeder cattle, live cattle, we know we've seen some big down days really in cattle. Maybe today is day 7 of the board being down, and we know how those relationships between cattle and corn and beans work, but keep your eye on that side of the board also, lean hogs, live cattle, and feeder cattle. USDA numbers this week on our export loadings this week. We were a little bit behind where we've been, but still a decent week when you pull those numbers apart. China and Mexico, top destinations for corn. Indonesia and Mexico, top destinations this week for beans. And the Philippines and China, top destinations for wheat. Remember, on the wheat side of things, the last time we saw futures prices in this range back in 2014 with wheat, we had some problems, political problems between Russia and Ukraine. We know that is back in the news again. That could be putting support underneath of the wheat futures. We know it's really dry in some places of North Dakota. People up there tell me it's as dry as it's been on record for this time of year. We know that that's impeding the planting of that spring hard wheat. That's got price support. And we also, again, with wheat, it always goes back to Russia. We know they've got an export tax program in place on bushels leaving their country, and that's putting support under the futures price as well. And it looks like some cold weather in the forecast next week, colder than normal for the hard wheat belt, the winter hard wheat belt. So we'll watch for futures movement in wheat next week on that. Back to the USDA, when we look at sales this week, pretty uninspiring week is the way one analyst, I liked how he used that word this week, an uninspiring export sales report on Thursday, below for corn and wheat, as expected for soybeans. But the amazing thing was, it's, as I said earlier, it looks like just the bull's in control, optimism is out there, and we really rallied this week without a lot of super supportive news, especially on the export side of things. And even on Thursday, when we got a less than impressive export sales report, it didn't seem like it really hurt the market that much and how it would move. Ethanol report this week, a surprise drop in production. What were we, down 3.5%, 941,000 barrels per day. That, if you do the math backwards, our broker does it for me when he sends out that report each week. It's 96 million bushels of corn that was used last week for ethanol production. And we're really appreciating those numbers, and glad to see some optimism coming in the ethanol sector for hopes that this summer people will get back in their vehicles and be driving a little more like normal. I think I misspoke there a second ago. 941,000 barrels per day. That's our production last week was down 3.5%, and we did use 96 million bushels of corn. So next week, what are we looking for? Monday, we'll get the plant in progress report. We'll see how much corn and y'all got in the ground over the last week here in Virginia and across the country. Virginia did come into this week 15% planted. That's a little bit ahead of normal, so that's good. The U.S., we came into this week at 4% planted on corn, and I don't think the trade was too impressed by that number. They wanted higher. So we'll see what we get come this Monday. We'll be watching our export reports on Thursday, our inspections on Monday, looking for any flash sales announcement. We've got our eyes on the weather. We know that the Brazilian double crop corn crop got planted late. We know about, depending on what weather model you're looking at, about 40 to 50% of that double crop corn in Brazil is suffering right now and needs rain, so we're going to watch that. From a marketing perspective, this is a great time to look at futures charts, to set your price targets, and to call the people you merchandise your bushels through and put wish orders in the system. So give us a call if Josie and I can help you with that. We'd love to talk to you. This is Robert at Virginia Farm Bureau's Grain Division.